The instant Meri inserted the rusty key into the lockbox concealed under her cabin floorboards, she had no notion that it would ignite a legal firestorm that would reduce the Brown family to its knees. In it were letters no one was supposed to read, trust agreements that revealed the other side of the story, and a sealed envelope with only 2 ominous words. Exit strategy. What was contained in that envelope would destroy trust, reveal betrayal, and make the courtroom a war zone. If you thought you knew the tale of sister wives, think again. The early morning haze clings to the hills of Utah as Meri Brown drives down the gravel RD of her bed and breakfast. The cold bites through her sweater, but she hardly feels it. She's not there for a weekend. She's here to challenge history. The cabin is still too still, the kind of stillness that buzzes in your ears and makes your heart sound loud. Meri traverses the creaking, ancient wooden floorboards, her boots thudding like ghosts sharing hushed secrets. She proceeds to the rear of the cabin, to the place her mother said she was never to touch. Under the corner floorboard, hidden beneath a loose plank and a few pieces of old insulation, she discovers it. A tiny iron lockbox. She gapes at it as if it's a bomb, because in some ways it is. Her hands tremble as she inserts a worn brass key into the lock. It had been secreted in her mother's sewing box, hidden amidst buttons and spools of thread. She turns the key inside folded papers, aged with time, one black and white photo of Kody's father standing on the land. A notarized family trust deed from and one sealed envelope. The envelope reads exit strategy. Do not open unless absolutely necessary. Bold red ink. Kody's handwriting. Meri's mouth goes dry. What the hell is this? She whispers. He doesn't call Kody. She doesn't tell Robyn. She calls her lawyer and within hours the documents are submitted to the district court. In court, the atmosphere is charged. Everyone tenses up before Meri even enters the doors. Robyn gets there first, dressed in a navy dress, her lips clamped, her eyes scanning the room without focusing on anyone. Kody comes next with a new lawyer, a young, angry, ambitious man. His bravado is lessened by doubt. Christine and Janelle sit in row 2, quietly beside Meri. There's a smoldering flame in their eyes. They've been burned before, but this time it's personal. The judge, a sharp-eyed woman in a reputation for zero tolerance, comes onto the bench. All rise. The room adjusts. The bailiff calls the case. Brown versus Brown, property dispute and deed forgery allegations. Meri approaches. Her voice does not shake. Not today. Your Honor, what I'm holding here is evidence that the property I inherited from my mother was never in the Brown family trust. Despite Kody's recent court filings, these records, long hidden, demonstrate clear sole ownership. More significantly, the envelope labeled exit strategy holds written directives from Kody to alter that ownership without my permission. A collective gasp rings through the room. Kody's attorney protests. Robyn shifts uncomfortably in her seat, eyes wide, but Meri goes on. I'm not here to shame anybody. I'm here to reclaim what belongs to me before it's gone. The judge leans forward. Meri, are you indicating there's proof of intentional transfer of property without your consent? Meri nods. Yes, and better than that. There's evidence Kody orchestrated it years ago. The courtroom falls silent. The judge calls for a recess. Court will reconvene once the envelope is opened and confirmed. Meri sits silently as Robyn and Kody fight just beyond the courtroom. Their whispers turn to hiss. You lied to me. That plan was incinerated. Robyn spits. I thought so. Kody hisses. Her mother told me she burned it all, but she didn't. It endured. And now so will Meri. At the cabin later that evening, Meri sits on the porch, mountains looming above her. She holds the old picture of Kody's father standing on the land, hands on his hips as if he owned it. In the back of the picture, barely discernible, is young Kody smiling. What became of that boy? Where did he disappear to? Meri closes her eyes. She knows tomorrow the courtroom will blow. Because in that envelope is not just a betrayal, It's a playbook on how to take it all from her, and give her nothing. The next day, the envelope is opened. There is a typed letter, and an audio tape on the letterhead, Kody's old business logo. Dated April th, the courtroom gasps. The judge reads the letter aloud. If Meri ever sues for separation, start transferring Lizzie's heritage and ownership via the LLC. Robyn as managing partner. Do not let Meri know until final documents clear. Christine's hand shoots to her mouth, Janelle's eyes well with tears. And Robyn, her face goes white because the audio tape, it's her voice instructing Kody step by step through the transfer doc, stepping into the courtroom. The tape plays, the courtroom leans in on tape. Robyn is saying once it's all in my name, she won't have anything left to fight with. Silence, gasps, glares and Meri. She doesn't cry. The tape continued playing, even after the courtroom had been frozen in stunned silence. Robyn's soft but firm voice seemed to resonate through the chamber like a specter from a darker era. Once it's all in my name, she won't have anything left to fight with. Kody glared at the ground. His jaw clenched so hard it seemed like it might break. Robyn, once refined and calm, now shook, her fists clenched, her nails pressing into her palms. Her eyes frantically scanned the courtroom, as if waiting for someone to declare it all a hoax. But the voice was her own. The scheme was genuine, and now the whole room believed it. Meri did not blink, not once. She simply gazed straight ahead, motionless and unyielding, as if the years of emotional erosion had at last turned into steel. This was no longer about revenge. This was about living. The judge pulled off her glasses and surveyed the courtroom. We will adjourn for 2 hours so counsel can examine the validity of the recording and supporting documents. Gavel came down and the storm loose. In front of the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Is that so? Robyn, did you instruct Kody to swipe Meri's property? Why did you take Lizzie's heritage in your sights? Is this the reason the family imploded? Security gave them the push, but the questions couldn't be muzzled. No longer. In a still conference room, Kody's attorney pounded the table. That recording is incriminating. We have to discredit it quickly. Robyn crumbled. It was years ago. We never followed through. She wasn't ever supposed to discover that box, Kody shouted. You said you burned everything. She faced him tear-filled. You said she'd never return to the cabin. Down the hall, Meri sat with her lawyer and a digital forensic specialist. Can we get the date of the recording? The expert nodded. It's from a phone that Robyn had in. No cutting. It's clean. The lawyer leaned forward. Then this is no longer a property dispute anymore. This is planned fraud. Hours later, court resumed. This time, Janelle entered the witness box. Her voice was steady. But sorrow tinged each word. I recall when Robyn said and how she and Kody were restructuring assets. I didn't pay any attention to it then, but a few months down the line, Meri's name disappeared from some of the business documents. When I questioned it, Robyn would simply say, it's for family protection. She paused, her eyes welling up with tears. Reflecting back, I believe she was referring to this, Robyn swayed. As if she were about to pass out, but Janelle wasn't finished. I remained silent too long, but Meri deserves the truth, Christine continued, and her testimony was a dagger. I came across a manila folder in Kody's office with MHI transfer on it. Inside, there were printouts of Meri's B&B books, and a checklist, and the final item read, full control, Robyn signs. Kody's face reddened. Christine stared him down. I didn't speak up then, I should have, but now I will, she turned to Meri. I'm sorry, Meri nodded, a tear running down her cheek. But she didn't cry. Not yet. Then Robyn was sworn in, and everything shattered, her attorney objected. But the judge overruled. The tape had opened the door. Robyn's hands trembled as she was sworn in, her voice barely above a whisper. Yes, that tape is real. Gasps. Kody shut his eyes, as if trying to disappear. I didn't mean it like that, Robyn went on. There was pressure, there were monetary risks. Kody said we had to look out for ourselves. The judge leaned forward. So you agreed to assist him in secretly transferring Meri's assets? Robyn nodded slowly. At the time, yes. Meri's attorney stepped forward. You mentioned she won't have anything to fight with. Did you mean Meri? Robyn paused. Yes. And was this done with Meri's permission? No. And the papers you wanted to sign in her behalf, who wrote them? Silence. Kody rose. I did. Whispers broke out. The judge banged her gavel. Order. Kody remained rigid, mouth clenched. I signed the first draft. We didn't file it, but I wrote it. The judge's eyes narrowed. You know that constitutes conspiracy to commit real estate fraud and attempted real estate theft, right? Kody remained mute because he knew. Meri gazed at the man she once believed she could trust. The father of her children, the man who, for years, kept her believing she remained a part of the family. And the whole time, he had a plan to wipe her out. The courtroom was adjourned for the day. No decision yet, just more questions. But in the hallway, something quite different occurred. Christine stood alongside Meri and put a hand on her shoulder. He's not going to get away with it this time, Janelle joined them. I'll testify again if I have to. We all will. Meri didn't say anything, but her tears finally emerged, and they weren't tears of pain. They were tears of validation. That evening, Meri went back to the cabin once more. She made a fire and sat down with the last of the lockbox contents. There, beneath the original papers, she had discovered a second envelope. Smaller. Older, directed not to her, but to Kody. In her mother's handwriting, she opened it. Inside was a handwritten letter. Try to steal this land from my daughter and you will regret it. Below was the photocopy of the actual original deed filed, notarized, and dated years before the Brown family trust ever was formed. Not merely evidence, a killing blow. It was close to midnight when Meri held the letter in her shaking hands, written in her mother's signature script. It seemed like a ghostly whisper. The message wasn't lengthy, but it cut through every falsehood with ease. If you ever attempt to steal this land from my daughter, you will regret it. This deed is legally safeguarded. It's hers, not yours, not the family's, not Robyn's. Hers, clipped underneath, fastened by one rusted paper clip, was a photocopy of the original land deed, notarized, dated March, 4 years before Robyn ever joined the family. 2 years before Kody even floated the idea of a shared family trust. It was Meri's land, undeniably, legally, unshakably, some evidence speaks. But this screamed. The next morning, the courtroom looked different. Tension had been replaced with something colder: fear. Kody walked in with his lawyer, but the usual puffed-up confidence was gone. Robyn looked like she hadn't slept. Her eyes were puffy, her hands clutched her purse like a lifeline. Christine and Janelle sat quietly in their seats, behind Meri once more, no longer mere supporters. Now they were history witnesses. Meri approached the plaintiff's table and placed the envelope down. My mother understood what might happen, she said, her voice firm but quiet, and she acted. This letter. This deed, is her voice, speaking out from beyond. She's not here to battle this, but I am. The judge opened the envelope, and read through the documents. There was silence like a curtain. Then, something changed. The court clerk leaned forward to whisper into the judge's ear. The judge nodded, then looked up. We have just received notification from the county recorder's office. The deed recorded in the name of Bonnie Alstrom and assigned to Meri Brown, is legitimate. The paper was an exact copy of the one presented. This property never belonged to the Brown family trust. Gasps. Kody buried his face in his hands. Robyn blinked her eyes very hard, staring rigidly ahead. Meri closed her eyes too. It was true, it was all over, or so she believed. The judge went on. But, because of allegations of attempted fraud and filing of forged documents, this court is remanding the case to the district attorney's office for criminal evaluation. That's when Robyn panicked. She stood up abruptly. Your Honor, I didn't know he forged anything. I didn't even touch those documents. Meri's attorney replied coolly. The audio tape indicates otherwise. You coached him through the process. I thought it was hypothetical, Robyn yelled. He said it was just a backup plan. He said we'd never use it unless Meri tried to. She stopped. Too late. Everyone heard it. That afternoon, things took a darker turn. A court investigator, assigned to comb through the trust's financial trail, entered the courtroom with a folder marked "You Urgent." He was sworn in immediately. During our initial review, he started. We discovered irregular withdrawals from the Brown family trust during a period of 3 years, almost all flowing through a second LLC controlled only by Robyn Brown. Kody paled. Christine covered her mouth. Janelle spoke under her breath. Oh my God, the judge scowled. And this LLC, was it revealed to the other family members? No, Your Honor. In fact, its registration was listed at a private P.O. box, not tied to any of the family residences. It appears it was used to redirect funds quietly, and a portion of those funds appear to trace back to Lizzie's heritage and revenues. Meri's lawyer spoke, meaning not only was their intent to take Meri's land, but they were already profiting off it. That was the match to the gasoline. Meri got up at last. I've been quiet. I've been loyal. I'd bitten my tongue while they laughed in court, while they informed the world I was bitter, jealous, dramatic. But this was not just betrayal. She addressed Kody directly. You stole from me and from my mother's legacy. Her voice broke, but she didn't weep. Not today, she shook her head. I never was your enemy, but evidently I was your target. The judge called for a recess before making a ruling. But the whispers outside the courtroom were more deafening than ever. That night, headlines flashed on social media. Meri Brown bombshell deed in court. Robyn and Kody targeted with fraud allegations. Meri's mother's secret letter resurfaces. Lizzie's heritage back in the limelight. Brown family trust under criminal review after tape and financial records leak. Robyn, however, was spotted leaving the courthouse in tears. Kody wouldn't comment to reporters. Our office is officially opening a case of possible tax evasion, fraud and embezzlement against Robyn Brown and Kody Brown. We'll need complete access to business accounts connected to Lizzie's heritage in the Brown Family Trust and all related LLCs. Robyn gasped out loud. Kody jumped to his feet, fists balled up. This is ridiculous, he bellowed. This is a family issue. You folks don't get it. The judge slammed her hand up. Sit down, Mr. Brown, or I'll have you taken out. Outside of the courtroom, Christine, Meri, and Janelle stood inside. Silence. How could you have kept all of that? Meri said. Christine hung her head. I couldn't destroy it. I didn't know what to do with it. Until now. You made the right decision, Janelle whispered. Even if it took time. Meri placed a gentle hand on her arm. We're not victims anymore, but behind in the courthouse, Robyn was disintegrating. In a back room, her attorney attempted to compose her. They have nothing concrete, they have everything, she wept. They have my voice. They have the bogus bills. They have the wire transfers. I thought we were playing it smart. I didn't believe it would come to this. Kody remained silent. He simply gazed out the window, his kingdom falling apart piece by piece. Later that night, the judge issued an initial ruling. This court determines Meri Brown to be the only rightful owner of the property called Lizzie's heritage in through original filings of deed and notarization. In addition, the court suggests that all economic endeavors affiliated with the inn be put on hold pending federal investigation. Meri smiled for the first time in weeks. But that celebration was brief because just as she opened the hallway, her phone vibrated, a restricted caller. She picked up a whispering voice. You think this ends in court? This isn't over, Meri. Click. She looked at the phone, shivering. Had Robyn phoned her? Was Kody threatening her, or was there another player at work? She looked to Christine. There's still more. Christine's expression grew dark. I know that burner phone. It had a message I didn't give the court. Meri blinked. What message? Christine drew a piece of paper from her purse, one from Robyn's cousin. He assisted in organizing the LLC. Rain pounded the courthouse windows like a warning shot from heaven. Meri sat inside her car, parked. Staring at the building ahead of her, the letter from Christine still tightly gripped in her hand. The name written on the paper had upset her more than the threats, more than the voice messages, more than the forged deeds. Jonas Sullivan, Robyn's cousin. Not only had Robyn betrayed her, not only had Kody manipulated her, there was one other, a third player behind the scenes, a man whom no one in the family had talked about in years. In the courtroom. Meanwhile, the storm was not just outside. It was brewing in every corner of that room. The FBI had subpoenaed Jonas Sullivan overnight. He was expected to be called to testify by afternoon. Robyn was openly coming apart. She resembled a candle melting in its last few hours, melted, sputtering, exhausted Kody, though. He was quiet. Watching. Meri came into the courtroom and handed her attorney a USB. What's this? The attorney inquired. She bent in closer. Christine discovered it in the burner phone. It's a backup recording of a Zoom call between Kody, Robyn, and Jonas. The attorney's eyes spread wide apart. It's time to let the truth be heard itself. The footage of the Zoom call played as the gallery leaned in. Kody's voice. We need to move the money discreetly. If it goes straight from the BNB, it's too obvious. Jonas Sullivan. I'll set up a shell out of Flagstaff, make it look like a renovation contractor. No one will question it. Robyn's voice. And if Meri asks, Jonas, say it's landscaping, say it's for historical preservation, whatever sounds noble. The room turned ice cold. Meri didn't blink. Christine just shook her head. Janelle breathed a soft curse. Unbelievable. As Jonas Sullivan was called to testify, he seemed at ease. Too at ease. Dark suit, black tie, face like a man accustomed to speaking just so much, and never one word more. But when the judge instructed him to identify his voice on the tape, his confidence began to break. Yes, he replied. That's me. And you affirm that you arranged a sham LLC to hide money from Lizzie's heritage in, he paused. Yes. And did Robyn Brown ask you to handle the money exchange so that Meri Brown could not oversee it? Pause. Then yes, gasp shot through the courtroom, like sparks on parched leaves.